Hi, my name is Angela Lynn Santos. It does my heart to be speaking on a little of my story, my achievements, things I overcome, and a few of my dreams and goals. After 28 years of toxicity, abuse, and addiction, I woke up one morning and said, no more. And I meant no more. Rode off with a back seat full one night and left everything else behind. Not sure of the next day, but excited for some reason. You'd think I'd be scared or anxious, but I wasn't. Matter of fact, I was what you call stupid brave. The minute I stepped out of that truck, I took a deep breath, stumbled, caught my balance, and immediately looked to the sky and said to myself, well, God, I can still breathe, so I can still change and share my story. No one has hit me or mentally abused me or been rude to me since that night. Matter of fact, God has blessed me tremendously with great people who see me as a woman and not a dog or an object. Every day has gotten easier. Although my neurological issues have worsened, I find the strength to exercise and dream. Many obstacles and trials, not a perfect past by far, but every day I try to enjoy a few memories and jokes and goodbyes, but mostly lately it's the light of new hellos. I had to take this trip to find me, literally. I lost myself trying to please others or avoiding abuse. And sometimes I dished it out. Survival mechanism, I suppose, to push away people before they could break me. Every day I look towards something that will make me feel better about myself. It motivates me. In a short time, I've learned so much, though. I realized I have way too much potential. Probably always did. I'm only 44. 2 months ago, I was ready to disappear and die. Today, I have goals again, dreams again, and I'm proud of myself again. Abuse shouldn't be something we accept because we are used to it. We shouldn't make excuses either. Being in a bad mood doesn't give us the right to physically abuse or verbally attack anyone. If they do it once, chances are they'll do it after. I sold myself short for so long that I ruined the lives of my children and most of my relationships. I couldn't even function in a department store. It consumes, it robs, it destroys, and it suffocates you. You lose yourself. That first breath that night in that parking lot was one of the most relaxing, stress-free breaths that I'd ever taken. Every day I breathe easier and I talk a little smoother without shaking or freezing up. I could go on and on and on, but I won't. I just want all of you to know, and anyone else who suffers, to know that you are not alone. We are not alone. Stand with me, fight with me, and pray with me. No more abuse. Women Against Abuse by Angela Santos. W.A.A means Women Against Abusers. Now I'm going to touch on the key points of some of the injuries, trauma, and abuse that's going on. Brain tumor and injury awareness. When people have neurological problems and disabilities, it is easy to assume that it's all mental. Therefore, they get dismissed as nobodies who need lots of mental drugs. But what would save a lot of people and the economy millions is to not always dope everyone up. You should do CAT scans, MRIs, and ear exams as preventive measures. That way, all of the money that the pharmaceutical companies are making and raking in ceases. That money goes into bettering the land so that the world doesn't end but thrives again. It also saves lives. I myself am blind in my right eye and going deaf in my right ear. So it's very easy for somebody to do something on the side or to assume that I'm guilty of something because of the way my eye looks, like looking at them or being weird or something, you know. That beat my self-esteem down for a long time. It even made it easy It probably even made it easy for people to bully my kids with it or ask them questions or embarrass them. That's why I don't like people who play off of people's disabilities and brain problems. Every problem they have isn't because they're quote unquote crazy. If those examinations were done, it would, I'm telling you, remarkably, undoubtedly make the world a better place. There would be a lot less bullying, abuse, torment, torture, harassment, assaults. In my life, I've dealt with a lot of salt slingers. They obtain smearing information, like, for instance, catching you at a bad moment, catching you while you're drunk, catching you after you've been assaulted or hurt or sexually assaulted or while you're knocked out in coma states of mind. They get all this information up just in case you want to go telling them later. But my idea with that is you making me look like I'm guilty of something based on a brain tumor, being blind in my right eye, or being deaf in my right ear. It doesn't make you less guilty in court. It doesn't make me less of a victim or more. I don't think a victim's credibility should be brought up when they go to press charges on people or the state pushes it to a Fed level or however you want to word it. I don't feel that victims should ever have to enter a courtroom because my credibility, my past, and my hurt isn't what should determine your guilt if you abuse someone or assault them. Your guilt is what should presume your guilt, not my pain. Not my pain. I believe that if someone is on trial for something or someone is accused for something, it is simple. Hook them to a lie detector test. That victim should never have to enter a courtroom. My credibility in my life shouldn't determine your life. That is a responsibility that society puts on people so they can rake in millions in a court system that doesn't have to exist. It doesn't have to exist. If someone says that person did something and you feel offended, you shouldn't wait years and years to get up dirt on that person. You take them in a small room, you question them. If they fail, you throw them in jail. It shouldn't take years and years for crooked people to put that money in their pocket. I've lived all walks of life. I've been on both sides of the tracks. I've been the victim and I've been the assailant. When you have a system who needs court-appointed attorneys, transportation, victims to be traumatized over and over and over again, there's something wrong. All of these law firms that have these investigators, all of these sheriff's departments that has all these detectives, you don't need all of that. When someone tells you that somebody done something, you call them in a room, you test them, and you lock them up. It doesn't take detective work. It doesn't take tracking down all forms of illegal cameras and microphones. It doesn't take that. It doesn't take cops sitting around for hours on the clock listening to recordings. You think somebody's guilty, you think they got something on you, you want it solved, you call them in a room and you duke it out. Not physically. But we don't need all that. There's too much money going in people's pockets that the government and the world doesn't need. You got cameras up everywhere. You got microphones up everywhere. Why do y'all get to sit around and get paid millions of taxpayers' money to prove someone's innocent or guilt? Half the police we have, we don't need. Half the probation officers we have, we don't need. Half the doctors we have, we don't need. Half the court-appointed attorneys we have, we don't need. Half the jails being built so that people can put the money in their pockets, we don't need. All we need is a world that stands together. Taxpayers are getting tired of paying money just to see the world end and the economy suffer. Let me get back to something else. Cops. No offense to the good ones who don't disrespect their family. I got much respect and love for you. 16 years ago, my son O'Darius Travell Foster was born. I'll never forget this day. When I was 5 months pregnant, I decided then that I wasn't going to be with an abusive man anymore, and I left his father. Well, actually, I left him a few months before that. And I walked to work every day until I could come up with some money. I walked from way behind Dothan High School all the way over to Checkers. I walked to work 5 months pregnant until I could get my first paycheck. I got money up. I bought me a van. I stayed at that job. I was there 4 months when I went in labor. My general manager was my labor coach, Chrissy Money. Very fine woman. She was my best friend, my boss, and my labor coach. While I was in labor, they came in to do an epidural. The hospital in Dothan, Alabama, drew out some of my spinal fluid. I don't remember much, but I remember them laying me back down on the bed and drawing blood out of my arm. They shot it through the epidural catheter to stop a gap of pressure that hit my brain. I immediately fell back again. After I birthed my son, when I came back to, I looked in the mirror and one of my eyes was completely full of blood. Completely full of blood. I didn't feel right walking. I couldn't even hold my head right. It took a few weeks for that to heal so that I could kind of regain some kind of equilibrium and stuff. After a few months, all the signs disappeared. I just had a few bouts of depression, but I assumed that was normal. And a few headaches. But I didn't eat right, and I worked a lot, and I just had a baby. Truth be told, I probably went back to work too fast, but my boss tremendously blessed me. When I woke up from having my son, she said, I noticed your hard work, and I was going to surprise you with this, but I didn't know how long you was going to be out for maternity leave. So I look over, and there's my manager shirts. I went from the bottom, walking to work pregnant with with my golden child, I call him. I love you, Trey Foster. I went to work walking pregnant with that little booger, and it showed. When I went back to work, I was the manager. Those accomplishments did not go unnoticed. The hard work did not go unnoticed. And I love you, Chrissy Money. You had faith in me. And that gave me something to look forward to. And I felt good about myself because for once in a long time, someone noticed my hard work. So Chrissy Money made me a manager. Months later, she promoted me up to even having my own store. Everybody loved Trey. He was literally the Checkers baby. And my golden child. Well, months and months later, after everything had kind of returned to normal, I was busy working and blah, blah, blah. I ran into a friend of mine. I can't remember exactly the details. Or called him or something. And he come and picked me up. So, me and O'Darius, I'm pretty sure O'Darius was with me. I believe O'Darius was in his car seat, and we were out there. Hold on, I'm gonna stop for a second.